So, LeBron James' buddy, whom he helped get hired, okay? Let's focus on that element alone. If it wasn't for LeBron James, you would be in the G League, staying in those little bitty hotels, making $25,000 a year. That's where your career had dwindled down to. He pulled you out the slums of the G League and said, because the G League, it's not me dissing the G League. The G League are for young hopefuls. Okay, they not for dinosaurs who getting ready to go into the twilight abyss. That's for young hopefuls trying to get into the league. That's why the G League was there. They not for dinosaurs who just holding on because they don't have anything else to do for the next wave of the next chapter of their careers. LeBron James comes and grabs you because y'all was friends in high school. Y'all were old high school buddies. Y'all was on a high school All-American team and became friends over that from high school. And he went and grabbed you and put you back on the Cavs with him as a teammate. So you can have one last run. You didn't play one lick of ball. All you did was dress up in a suit and sit on the sideline so you could be part of the ride. That was your only job. And then you go from that to working for ESPN. You what? You go from that to working at ESPN. How did you get that job? Are you literally going to say, you earned that job? Now, I'm not mad LeBron looked out for his buddy and gave his buddy a job. But are you going to say LeBron didn't get you that job? Are you going to sit there and say you went out for the ESPN job and got that on your own merit? Or did LeBron put you there? For anybody who's been listening for the last 3 minutes, don't know what in the world we're talking about, Kendrick Perkins was on JJ Redick's podcast, right? And to help JJ Redick's podcast out, he decides he wants to do a hot take. I'm dead serious. I kid you not. I'm dead serious. He decides to do that. And you know what happens? Let me show you what happened.
I got a confession. We played the Cleveland Cavaliers in 2008, and it was a game 7. We just had lost game 6. And I ain't gonna lie, man, I was scared as hell going into that game 7 against LeBron James. And this was the only time that I actually prayed that something happened to him at practice. I said, you know what? Like, no. What a thing to confess. I was like, let us get breaking news that LeBron has tore his ACL or something.
Jesus.
Like, I did, bro. Like, I'm not even lying. I'm not even exaggerating. And
I have to edit this out.
No, you can't edit this out. This is real. That's how terrified I was of LeBron. I got a confession.
Mm, mm, mm. Just let that sink in for a second. Is that not all? These players pray and pray on my downfall. Pray and pray on my downfall. Listen, y'all. To even say that, I don't like LeBron James, but I don't pray that he gets injured. I don't pray that anybody gets injured. Now, when my man Solomon Hill, dove for the ball and LeBron got his ankle rolled up, I was very happy because I felt LeBron got what he deserved for cheating the game, for trying to use Kobe Bryant, from everything. He got what he deserved. That was karma. So I was like, that's your karma for trying to cheat the game. So that to me was different. I never prayed that he got hurt. And it was a legal basketball play. A person who was showing hustle and effort versus a overplayed, milking the clock athlete who was half-assing it. And because he wasn't willing to get on the floor and go for the ball, he got hurt. And everybody wanted to blame, saying, that's too early in the game for that. It's too early in the game. That makes no sense. But anyway, I digress. Now, we get to this situation and what it really means. Of course, Draymond Green went off on him. You're exactly who I thought you was. You are exactly who I thought you was. You're not part of the new media. Well, the thing about Draymond is him and LeBron are brothers. Him and Perk are brothers. But LeBron Perk to LeBron is like, man, that's that's my old high school buddy. Like he's not gonna cross me. I'm quite sure Kendrick Perkins have told this story to LeBron James. Before he went on that podcast. And what he's trying to do is actually make a hot take. And that's what he wants to do. Now he wouldn't say this on ESPN, but he could say this on a podcast show that he prayed that another teammate would get injured. And I mean ACL too, to be exact. Career ending. In some instances, some people have never recovered. I mean, and to sit there and think like, but I said I was scared of you, LeBron. I was scared. Then that just, to me, that was the most telling part of it. It's game 7. The hell you scared about? What the hell are you scared about? What are you scared about? You're supposed to embrace this. You should be mad. I mean, up 3-2 and you got 2 games to go? And you talking about you was scared? But this tells me about the Perk. All I need to know about Perk. He was a big teddy bear. And I told y'all that before when he was out there with Captain Jack. He's the lap dog. He's one of those big dudes that everybody invite to hang around because he's big. But he's not the tough guy. He was the big teddy bear. But nobody really tried him and because of his size. You know, big, strong, and all that, but he ain't built like that. He's a teddy bear. Now, Kendrick Perkins. I'm going to say this and be clear with it. I don't understand why you feel a need to do a take like that on JJ Redick's podcast. You see what I'm saying? I don't understand why you wanted to go do that on JJ Redick's podcast. Why did you choose that? The podcast is called The Old Man and the Three. All right. They already have what they have 602,602 subscribers or whatever. 600 and about 600,000, I believe. So, and so far, this podcast show is seemingly all about all about hot takes. But JJ is fair. That's the thing about JJ Redick. Because he's played the game, he critiques, but he doesn't go into the realm of what Stephen A. and the rest of those guys do. Now, what he wants is to be clear and concise. And what he does is he holds Stephen A accountable, which a lot of people don't do. Like he'll say, I just want to be clear. I want you to like expand on what you're saying. Where everyone else would just let Stephen A cook and do his thing, which most of the trolls said, yo man, let me cook. Just let me cook. It'd be like, well, you're not cooking. If you put water and grease in the skillet, that don't mean, and it's just, you just putting a fire under it. It doesn't mean you're cooking. So I try to tell these trolls that all the time when they, because that seems to be a troll's number one comment, is that they're cooking. Man, you interrupted him while he was cooking. Let him cook. My thing is, when you're cooking, you're actually making points. And that's the way I thought it's supposed to go, but I can't really understand. I don't know. So, Draymond, who believes he's the new media, very much is not the new media. What he is the new annoyance. And when you're the new annoyance, you're going to turn out to be just like everyone else. You see, Draymond problem is, and it's quite simple.
What's
Draymond
up,
has
everybody? It's
never,
Draymond Green Mason.
yeah, see, Draymond Green don't understand what he's doing on social media. He doesn't. He believes he do. Unlike basketball, he just thinks I grab a microphone and I start talking and I do my show. It's cool, but here's the thing. If you go to the Draymond Green show and you type it in, right, and you want to watch the Draymond Green show, the Draymond Green show is on another platform that's a gumbo pot of a lot of other people's shows. It's a network. It's a network called The Volume. So when you rocking The Volume, that's what it's on. What are you really doing? Do you think you're the new media and you're changing the game? You're basically gonna do the same damn thing all the other media are doing. Talking about new media versus old media. No, no, no. What you're doing and what you're hoping for is you're hoping, wishing, and praying on someone else's downfall. You're hoping, wishing, and praying that the old media fades away and y'all come in and take over. The only thing I like about Draymond is the fact that he actually played the game. But that doesn't mean you can give a honest opinion because you have relationships. And people are always going to value their relationships more than anything that they could say to the media or the world or how they're going to critique it. It's going to happen because you personally know this person. Your critique of them will withstand the test of time. It's going to go further than you could ever imagine. So, for you, what you would want to do in this situation is to refrain for using any type of whatever you want to call ambition. Like when I do YouTube, like I try to disconnect from anything that I got to talk to or talk about. Because if I wanted to, I got friends. You already know I got friends that are in high places. But I disconnect mostly from them when I do this, so it don't be held against them. You know, for instance, Floyd Mayweather. Back then, if I would have said some things, they accredit it to Floyd if they seen me around Floyd. So not to say anything crazy because it's gonna go back to him. Who are you? They don't care about you, but what you said now is gonna be a reflection of Floyd Mayweather. So he would take all the blunt of the blame, but would get none of the credit, and they would love to attribute that to you. And there's been plenty of people around him that has come out and said crazy stuff and got themselves because they got mad, they got cut off or something. And you've seen that happen with all these people who used to be down and they don't get a check or something don't go their way. Now there's a problem. But because of relationships, athletes are not allowed to really break the code and tell what really went on. And they can't go to the level that they needed to go to, the grit, to get to the truth. So, unlike them, this is why Skip Bayless don't like to form relationships with athletes. He don't have a lot of relationships with athletes. And this is one of the main reasons why. Because they don't understand the process of what it takes. Shannon Sharp almost lost his longtime friendship, and it's been strained with Ray Lewis. And I felt Shannon wanted to immediately respond to a Colin Kaepernick situation, right? When he was first doing television. And Shannon made one of the most fatal mistakes, and that was to judge his best friend, Ray Lewis, and basically tear him down on television based on a statement Ray made without even talking to Ray. Said, I tried to call you, Ray, but you was on the plane. So you decided to just go out and just do that without talking to Ray. Shannon felt bad about it, but he felt like he was on the spot. He was new to doing this with Skip at the time. This was like in their first season. Ray was a person that was on the show considerably because Shannon was like a big brother to him who showed him how to eat properly and stay in shape. All of these things. So for him, this was devastating. It was extremely devastating. Now, one of the main situations that I've seen is that nobody likes a interview without any grit. Now, I'm not saying you got to go DJ Vlad, but you got to have some grit and you got to have some positivity. You got to have it all. Like, it's got to be like a balanced meal. Like, you can't just have steak by itself and then that's it. You got to have some, broccoli, some mashed potatoes, some corn. You got to have a combination to make the interview flow. You can't just be on the same track and that's it. If you're on a one-way track and you're just doing, it's just like, okay, this is a bland interview. You got to get to a point in your interviews. I've interviewed many of athletes, and I know exactly how to start the interview, how to end it. But before, I really didn't know how to do that. But to critique, all you really need to do is focus on the game. The game speaks for itself. But of course, we're fans. So we're going to be, oh, get him out of the game. He sucked. We're going to do that because we didn't play the game. So it's easier for us to do that. I'm not saying Draymond Green needs to do that or Kendrick Perkins needs to do that. But I understand when a fan says those type of things. Now, fans do go way off the lines and all over the rails, but that's okay. Long as they don't get disrespectful to the point where, but if a fan calls somebody Westbrook, it's like, that's fine. But for someone in the media, sports media, who's on ESPN, for them to do it, or Fox Sports 1, for them to start calling people Westbrook and all of these different things, now they've crossed the line because they have a journalistic integrity that they're supposed to uphold. Now, Skip Bayless, I don't think is media in them anymore. He's mostly entertainment. He's no longer the journalist and columnist he used to be. So for him, that show is purely entertainment. So for him to call somebody Westbrook is probably right up his alley. But if I'm a professional athlete, if I come on this show, I know this is an entertainment show. This is a show where they're paid to be entertainers. So it's not real. So that's how it should be viewed, as something, it's more fan service than it is sports journalism. And those lines have been blurred. First Take, entertainment show. Stephen A. Smith is no longer a columnist or a journalist, but he's calling the games as a journalist for ESPN, and he's blurring the lines because he's holding on to that sports media journalist credentials, covering the National Basketball Association and doing all these things here. And then he goes on an entertainment show and basically breaks the code of journalism. Then he goes back to like, oh, well, I'm a journalist today. And then I'm going to go back to being an entertainer tomorrow. And that's the problem. And this is how you get the Kendrick Perkins who comes over here to drop these hot takes about these players and give just horrible fan-like critiques from a person who actually played the game. He should be able to tell you exactly what's going on the court from a perspective of a player, a former player in the game. Now, you see Richard Jefferson. Well, Richard Jefferson, the thing about him is he's smart. He's not going to say or do anything outside of the lines. He's going to always be inside the lines. But he's going to always give you an intelligently sounding answer to try to make sense of what Perkins mumbling is about. Man, what I was saying is when he was out there with the ball, it was like it was stuck. The ball was just stuck in his hand. I don't know why he dribbled the ball so much. He really should just get a ball up to his teammate and let him bring the ball up sometime. Because the way he was hunched over and dribbling the ball, it was like 1960. Like Bob Cousy or somebody was out there. What what Perk was trying to say was that maybe that he should share the load with the point guard position with the two guard, and who played point guard in college, so he has the ability to play the point guard position again. So this way he can move without the ball and give the other team a new look or something else to try to defend, because what they've been doing hasn't been working. So they always have Richard Jefferson with him to hold his hand to try to help the poor guy out. And he hasn't seemed to come up with the proper diet for doing this job, because he's gained like 30, 40 pounds easy since he's been doing this. And I just said 30, 40 to be nice. He's looking like Black Santa for real. Now, I don't know why, but for some reason, all of these athletes all want to come to media. It's just like all the rappers wanted to go on YouTube and start critiquing everything that they complained about. And this only happened during the pandemic. Everybody's got a podcast show now and want to talk. When they swear to God, all these chatty people out here chatting on the other chat, they hated media. They hated YouTube people doing all this chatting, talking. You ain't never played the game. You ain't in the industry. You don't know nobody. Nobody knows you, bruh. They love to say that. They would love to have a rapper or an R&B artist, or they love to say, nobody know you. How do you know? I used to get that 1,000 times. Who know you in the industry? And they get the answer and they still come back with, man, nobody know you in the industry. How you know all this? So they love to discredit anything that you're saying. Even though what you're saying is correct, they just mad you saying it. Because they like, man, I was going to say that, or I should have said that. So they go saying like they're above it. Then they turn around and start doing the same thing. After the pandemic and they were locked in the house and couldn't do nothing, everybody said, man, I'm going to start me a podcast and start talking. And then now that they talk. And no matter what position they were in, as far as being an elite player, it's just like back in the days, you didn't get a jersey made unless you was a star. The NBA wouldn't make your jerseys. They wouldn't sell your jersey at all. Back in the day, it was a player trying to get it. Like, man, I want to get my, like, where could my family, they want to support me. and get my jersey. And it was like, well, when you make all NBA, we'll make a jersey for you. If not, your parents better go make one. They had to wear a t-shirt supporting him. That's how your family is, just like high school or something. That's how it was. This is the 90s. They didn't just make jerseys for anybody on the team and sell them. You had to be somebody. Now, shoot, that's changed. You got people showing up to the game with better jerseys than the people that actually played. And they ain't never played. So you got to think about that. What's good today was not great yesterday. Anybody who starts anything new is always going to get crucified first and never get the credit for it when everybody in the free world start doing it. Now, when they were doing random blood and urine tests in boxing, Floyd Mayweather was the first one to ask for it. And Floyd Mayweather versus Shane Mosley was the first time it was done under heavy criticism when he was asking Pacquiao to do it with him. On the biggest stage in boxing, let's get this done. That didn't get done. Shane Mosley agreed. And him and Floyd did it. Shane, who had already admitted to the Balco investigation, he already had a stigma on his name. So this was to prove he was a clean athlete moving forward. And what had happened was something explosive. What transpired was even more shocking. Because what transpired after the fact was simply everybody bashing it to everybody now it's a standard. They've even done random testing in all professional sports, from baseball, basketball. They're tested all the time. Football, all of this PEDs. Now it matters. But they never give credit to the person who started. Now, I look at basketball, football, and all of these sports, I look at them differently. I look at them with a grain of like, man, these are our stars that entertain us. So you want them to be able to entertain you as much as possible. And sometimes fans look at this as a video game almost, because they play them so they feel like it's not real. Like, even if they get hurt, like, they could just shake it off and come back and play. And the realism that they are actually human beings just like you don't seem to exist. And when you have these elements in place, it's a major problem. So the NBA are going to start changing rules again. And everybody seemed to forget that down the road, the NBA has always done this to assist or to help out a team that they want to help out. Like if you look at LeBron James, and I hate to single LeBron out, but he is one of the faces of the league. But let's take LeBron James, for instance. LeBron James, good people, has rules for him, just particularly for him. He's allowed to lower his shoulder past the limit of approval of what is considered an offensive foul. Lowering the shoulder and driving into the defender is considered an offensive foul. So had he played in the 1990s, and I try to tell anybody, oh, LeBron could play, he cannot play in that era. Because that, what he does now, is considered an offensive foul in the 1990s. LeBron James would be fouled out of a game. You're not allowed to shove off the way you can in this league. They allow the professional athlete to basically use his free arm and shove somebody. Now, this is called an offensive foul also in this game, and it makes no sense. It is completely judgmental, but LeBron James is able to shove a guy forcibly with his arm, lower the shoulder, as he's a fullback coming down the line. And they champion this with him. And the reason they do this is because he has no moves. He has no basketball moves. He can't get by the defender without doing this. So he has nothing in his bag that's going to get him past that defender besides doing that. His dribbling is about a C, if anything. C level, if not D. D plus. We'll put him at a D plus. So he's not able to do all of these things. It's incredible. Now, what I was saying is everybody though has their own standards. They've allowed the step back, which is really turned into a travel move now. That move would be a travel in the 1990s. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? That would be a travel in the 1990s. So that's for a lot of the Euro players to get separation. They have to step back. And the step back has turned into a double jump move to get separation. So now even Steph Curry is using it to get that separation that he needs. Uh, a lot of players are using that move now that has been approved, and most of the Euro players can use it. You know, I've seen Luka really use that move and bring that to a prominence to where it's like almost a double jump. It's really crazy. Continuation of baskets. They allow you to basically jump up after getting fouled. You can still be on the ground, take a jump in the air, and shoot the ball. Before, you used to have to be in the act of shooting. That has changed. And it is judgmental, and no one understands it. No one does. let's get to the gist of a lot of this. From sports media, from the actual game itself, and how it breaks down. People never see the little things. So for a professional athlete to critique the game, telling people, the general public, teaching them about the little things that happen on a basketball court actually is important. That's actually valuable. That's actually information that's going to open the eye. I think that is the best part of an interview. You're giving them something fresh. Because you can see things that their eyes not trained to look for. All they see is a person shoot the ball, it goes in, a person blocked the shot, a person grab a rebound or made an assist. That's it. That's all the person sees. The average person. They don't see the screen that was set. They don't see the cut. They don't see somebody getting pinned down in the post. They don't see the lack of effort. They don't see somebody's getting their trunks grabbed, or this person is holding them. This person is running hard on the screen. This person is using his hip to try to hip check somebody on the screens. They're missing all of this in this game. They're missing it. And the reason they're missing it is because they don't know to look for it. So if you're a professional athlete like Kendrick Perkins, you should be pushing to expect to show your knowledge of the game. You should be able to know these things. But to tell you the truth, for all you guys that are sitting here right now listening, I'm going to tell you, the majority of these people, they comment on the games, they never watched it. They never watched the games that they're sitting there on TV, paid hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, some even millions, and they haven't watched the game. Stephen A. Smith sat there on a stage and did not watch the game and gave a full 3-4 hour show on a game he never watched. He watched highlights and went out there and spoke as if he watched the game. He watched a clip and did a 3-hour show based on a clip. Never watched the game. Shannon Sharp, my brother Shannon, did the same thing. But Shannon admitted it. He said, I watched it to the second quarter, but then I had to go to bed. Because they shows start in the morning. So they got to get up at like 4, 5 in the morning and then get there. The show was on the West Coast, well, the game was, so they have to, it was late. The game was real late, and it was a doubleheader, and they didn't see it. And I'm like, there's no way y'all saw this game, and y'all at work like this. No way. You didn't see the game. But at least Shannon, to his credit, just said, hey, I watched the game to about halftime. I was trying to hold my eyes up. I couldn't see it. So I know the majority of them are not watching the games. Kendrick Perkins talked about a game he never even watched. And the reason I know is because he was covering a game for the Boston Celtics that night. But went on ESPN and started talking about a game he didn't even see. Now, he could lie and say, oh, no, I got caught up on the highlights and stuff on the plane. You ain't watched the game. How you watch the game and you was covering the Boston Celtic game? And they were going on at the same damn time. You didn't see the game. Now, this just, all of this has been trying to just tell you one thing: trust yourself. That's it. Trust yourself, trust your knowledge, trust it all. And the reason why you got to trust it all, and I say it like that, like, man, you got to trust yourself. You got to trust this system. You got to trust all of this. It's because all of these people who are doing this now, the majority of them have been placed there. And all these other people that's just jumping up there and wanting to do it, that's fine. But trust yourself. If you want to get into the sports media something, trust yourself. Don't ever break your integrity. Trust yourself. And for everyone that's doing this from the sports world, it's not as easy as it looks. It's a lot more than just grabbing a phone or hitting record. You actually, when you make a decision to do this every day for the rest of your life or for whatever period of time you're doing it, you're sacrificing. You're sacrificing time, effort, people, friendships, relationships. You are basically separating everything that you've learned, everything that you know. It's all separated. So the next move is on you. So don't forget to subscribe to the page, the notification bell, all of that. It's in the banner. We got something good on the Patreon today. Some you've never heard that we've done. So that'll be very interesting to hear people's take on that. Now, I never understood why people felt that other people owed them something. Like, he owe us. Owe you what? He was like, man, you owe us this. We don't owe you anything. So I'm confused on that right there. Like, man, you owed us that. I'm like, we owed. Hmm, very interesting. Uh, no, I don't. I don't feel like I owe anybody anything. I mean, we'll update it. Like I said, we don't do requests. You could suggest, but we don't do requests. So anyway, thank you. My Cash App is Carcino, Karceno. That is it. I am out the door. God bless.